This week on Beacon Web News, I caught the action behind spring sports practice with the baseball and basketball teams, and Sym Kehr investigates a ghost within Mark Hopkins. That's all coming up next on Beacon Web News. Hello and welcome to the October 28th episode of Beacon Web News. I'm Mei Craig. SAC will be hosting Fright Night on October 31st. There will be events all over campus at different times. The first events will start at 7 p.m. and events will wrap by midnight. Events will range from a horror movie marathon to ghost tours, activities in the quad, zombie tag, and more. On Thursday, October 22nd, Chief of Police Daniel Colano sent out a safety alert. A number of unlocked vehicles had items stolen from them between the evening of Wednesday the 21st and the morning of Thursday the 22nd. The vehicles were located on Davenport, Bond, and Corinth Street, in addition to 4 vehicles belonging to students that were parked in the townhouse lots. If you have information regarding these incidents, contact the North Adams Police Department at 413-664-4945 or Campus Police at 413-662-5100. With the cancellation of fall sports this year, spring season is still up in the air as MCLA has yet to determine on whether or not they want to continue playing in the spring. Beacon sports editor Kyle Milligan and I talked with a few members from the baseball team, basketball team, and men's and women's basketball teams on what their practices have been like and what their hopes are for the future. As spring sports are waiting to hear back from the MCLA on whether or not they'll be playing next semester, I caught up with a few members from the baseball and basketball teams to discuss on how sports practice has been going with COVID regulations in place.
3 hours a week with our coaching staff. I worked with some of the other captains and our hitting coach, and we kind of put together some hitting groups, and that's gotten us a lot more reps. We can kind of break down mechanics. We're also getting in the weight room together, going on hikes, just kind of doing what we can to be active. We were out to a pretty hot start, and we were looking like a really promising team. And that getting cut short, we're just all really hungry for this season. We're ready to get back out there and start competing again. Downside of that being we haven't really seen a full competitive game situation in a long time. We're trying to simulate it with scrimmages, but other than that, we're just really, really hungry to get back out there.
As a team, is that we work really hard, so we know that our season and this whole COVID situation happening, that we need to work harder than we ever worked before. So our coaches decided we have Zoom meetings every week to decide what we need to go over, what we need to do for the next practice, and what has gone wrong. We also hit the gym on and off the campus, so when we don't have time to go to fitness center, you'll catch us at Planet Fitness, if anything. We also take hikes as team to get our conditioning in, and just for a little team bonding and just enjoy the life. We also come out here, we work, we go to Joe Wolf, the captains always are calling practices, making sure we're all there, making sure we get the extra reps that we need because we know practices are shorter this season. What in my terms is our practices are just way shorter than they were, last season, so it's very difficult to get in more reps and everything, but at the same time there's also a positive out of it that I feel like as a pitcher, I feel like our coach gets more individual time with us so we know what we're doing. These masks are a hassle, so it's hard practicing with these masks on. I don't even get to see the other half of the team that much anymore, like we used to last season. But overall, it's tough, but we're working through it. We're getting through it.
Not being able to work together as much as a team and like building chemistry and stuff, but I look at the advantages more so than the disadvantages because I think getting in the gym on your own time and by yourself is more productive than our 2 hours in practice or right now the 1 hour.
I think the biggest advantage probably is that it's just straight to the point. I feel like in every sport, you feel like your coach just has you doing stuff for no reason. And it's like now with like an hour, like there's no time to waste because normally practices are 2 hours and 6 days out of the week. So, I mean, I like that everything's just straight to the point and we get in, we get out, we do exactly what we have to do. But I mean, obviously you'd want more time just to be able to get up more shots and practice more plays.
A couple disadvantages is with an hour, we're like getting into the middle part of our practice and ending right away. So I think the momentum is kind of like going straight towards the middle. So we kind of don't hit that heavy part of our practice. I think an advantage though is we're spending a lot of time doing the little things and just critiquing everything that we need to do when we get into the game. The biggest factor is team atmosphere. I think last year we had a little bit of a hard time together, and I think this year we have a stronger bond together, and especially with the new coach, we're getting a new perspective on the game, and with being COVID, we have to learn new things together, so I think that's helping out our team.
It just gets everyone ready to go earlier. I mean, normally you get a couple weeks before practice and then the season starts. Now when you have a couple of months really to get back into the flow of everything, I think when the season comes around, I think it'll be really good competition, and there won't be that like early season, guys are still getting in shape. I think everyone will be ready to go.
For Beacon Web News, I'm Mei Craig. What to challenge your queer knowledge in the game of Kahoot? Queer Student Union will be hosting Queer Kahoot. The event will be on November 7th from 6 to 8 p.m. in the Church Street Center Social Hall. The doors will open at 4:45 p.m. and there is a maximum occupancy of 21 students. There will be 2 rounds, the first at 6 and the second at 7, and a chance to win a t-shirt, a flag, mugs, or gift cards. For more information, go to gr7694 at mcla.edu. Casey Arsenal will be discussing her career as a physician assistant in dermatology. The event, hosted by the biology department, will take place virtually on October 29th from 12 p.m. to 12:45 p.m. There will be a Teams meeting link for the event. The MCLA Institute of Art and Humanities will be collecting student submissions for their Empowered Voices Collective, an online platform where BIPOC students can submit and present their creative works. BIPOC aims to address cultural disparities by engaging with the MCLA community on diverse forms of art and experiences. Students can submit works featuring poetry, short stories, free writes, photography, and artwork. Applications are due Sunday, November 8th at 8 p.m. You can submit your work to the Empowered Voices Collective and materials to the evoicescollective@gmail.com. On Wednesday, October 21st, MCLA held its 3rd annual Day of Dialogue, except this time, this year's event was virtual. Sym Kehr covered the event.
The Day of Dialogue is a day of workshops and discussions focusing on issues of equality, diversity, and inclusion. This was the 3rd year of this event, which took place virtually on Wednesday, October 21st.
So the theme was creating change through community, action, and organizing. And we decided it in the spring of 2020. We wanted something that would encompass different aspects of the current moment so that we were able to talk about community health, the pandemic, but also Black Lives Matter through the lens of community organizing, which of course encompasses all these different topics in a very, I think, relevant and timely way.
So we kept saying, like, how do we kind of thread all these together? And we came up with what this is really about community organizing, really communities, especially marginalized communities, coming together to really affect change.
The process was very different for the virtual setup. We started a good deal earlier. We started at the end of the spring, kind of thinking through what format would work for a virtual, or at that point we were thinking maybe hybrid conference, and then some discussions over the summer. And really once August, September hit, did we start to think about the technology and realize that we did have to go fully virtual. So it was a bit different in that those with technical skills like Erin Milne, Jackie Kelly really stepped up and the Canvas site and also the Teams links, which when we're in person, we don't need to worry about as much. So yeah, it was very different.
Sessions were conducted over Microsoft Teams, creating a safe environment for students to attend and participate in conversations.
Overall, the turnout was better than we expected. I know pretty much all the sessions I was in, we had at least 50 people, which some of them had ideally been limited to 25, so that was a good deal over. So a real shout out to the presenters who were able to adapt to that difference. And then I believe the lunch keynote, we had close to 80 participants in there. So one thing about the virtual format is that it did allow for, I think, a wider range of participation and kind of made participation more equitable as well, that you didn't just have to speak up, but a lot of the sessions I was in used the chat feature really well, just to allow more people to participate in different ways.
According to Christopher McDonald-Dennis, there was no way the event would be canceled.
This is too important. Students, before you all got here, fought too long for this to be in the academic calendar, for it to be a day of suspended classes in the day. You know, it's just, and I think its value is too important to do it. And it being the third one, when I was talking this morning in my opening words, I kept saying, you know, I said, we are now a tradition. You know, the first year you do it, then the second year you're like, okay, but third year, it's like this is an established tradition on campus that we suspend classes to talk across difference, to learn from each other. So that wasn't even an issue.
For Beacon Web News, I'm Sym Kehr.
On November 2nd, the Center for Student Engagement will be hosting a mindful mashup yoga session with Monique Sims. Mindful mashup sessions are open to all body types, ages, and abilities. The session will be virtually held through Zoom from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. The City of North Adams will be starting their monthly winter market starting Saturday, November 7th. The market is dedicated to providing the community with fresh, locally produced food and supporting local food producers. The market will run from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. in the North Adams Armory parking lot at 206 Ashland Street. Did you know about the ghosts on campus? You can join the admissions ambassadors on a ghost tour on Saturday, October 31st. The tours will depart from the campfire in the Bond Street gravel lot at 8 p.m. Sym Kehr did some ghost hunting herself as she explored the haunting stories about Mark Hopkins.
There are many stories about different ghosts roaming different buildings on campus. Today we're going to focus on Mark Hopkins. Some of you may know her as Lucy, some of you may know her as Amy, and some of you may just know her as the ghost that haunts the third floor of the building. I interviewed John Brown, a former maintainer of the building, to ask about his experiences in Mark Hopkins.
I started here in 2004 of March, and the first occurrence I had was in 2006. I was cleaning a room. I cleaned the classrooms upstairs after the 9:30 class, and I would do the bathrooms and the vacuuming in the classrooms, and then I would shut the whole hallway down the third floor for the night. I go downstairs onto the next floor and start cleaning, and I would start hearing pitter-patter of little feet running down the hallway. And I didn't know if there was a professor might have brought their kid to the upstairs into their office or what. I didn't know at first. So I go up there and I would check, and I would say, hello, is there anybody here? And I go check all the doors, and everything was locked, and it was dark, and there was nobody there. So I went back to my routine cleaning downstairs. So I go back downstairs and I start cleaning again, and then I would hear a toilet flush. And it's the old type of toilets where you have to physically push the button down to physically push it to make it flush. So I would hear that, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me, because I just cleaned up there. I said, I can't believe there's somebody up there. So I go back upstairs, and it was always in the women's room. It was never in the men's room, third stall. That would be used. Every time it was always a third stall. So I'm like, what's going on? So I go up there, and the toilet would be flushed. And the seat, I always left all the seats up. The seat was still up, but the toilet was flushed. So then I went back downstairs. I would put some more bowl cleaner in. I cleaned it up again. Went back downstairs, and then I heard the toilet seat fall down. All happened in the same night within 15, 20 minutes. So I go back up there, and the toilet seat would be down, the third stall and in the woman's room. So then I finally, at one point, I talked to my boss, who was Wes Burdick at the time, my supervisor, and then I was talking to him about it, and he said that there was a little girl who passed away here at the school, and I don't know what year she passed away. And this is when the school was an elementary school. I don't know exactly what her name is. I heard her name. I thought I heard her name was Amy. I'm not sure on that.
In 2007, ghost hunters investigated the building. They asked a series of questions, and when asked if the ghost enjoyed harassing the maintainers, the energy box lit up. Brown was the maintainer at night from 2006 to 2008. He then joined the grounds. After that, the following maintainer also had similar experiences with the addition of kicked-in lockers. The current maintainer has not had any such experiences. For Beacon Web News, I'm Sym Kehr.
And now from the Beacon. Gina Puck, the Vice President of Strategic Initiatives at the college, told the Beacon during a Microsoft Teams interview that the MCLA COVID hotline will be staying indefinitely. The number for the hotline is 413-662-5550. MCLA's theater department will be presenting its first online performance titled The Race from October 29th to November 8th at 8 p.m. via Zoom. To reserve a spot, go on www.mcla.edu/theater. News 1 students wrote about several aspects of the election, including both of the ballot questions. Managing editor Natalia Giacomosi spoke with math professor Erin Kiley about ranked choice voting, which is a subject of question 2.
So the way we currently do elections in Massachusetts, the instructions more or less break down to here's a list of candidates, choose your one favorite. If ranked choice voting passes in Massachusetts, then for state and federal elections in Massachusetts, the instructions will change from that to here's a list of candidates, rank as many as you want to rank. And with that one simple change, we can make big changes to the fairness of our election system.
SGA announced at the October 26 meeting via Microsoft Teams their intent to hold a special election to fill the open positions. The remaining positions include student trustee, class of 2024 president, and all seats on the class of 2020 council. That's it for this week. To stay up to date with BWN, you can follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/MCLABWN. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.